We're back with Mr. Orth's Flip Class for Grammar, looking at infinitives and infinitive phrases, the last of the three types of verbals. An infinitive is to plus the base form of a verb. An infinitive may be used as a noun, an adjective, or as an adverb. In some ways, infinitives are among the easiest to spot because it's simply to followed by a verb. The trick can be figuring out which kind is used, a noun, adjective, or adverb. If you've studied a Latinate language like French, Spanish, Italian, or Latin itself, you're already familiar with infinitives as you first study the verbs in vocabulary. Examples of infinitives in English are to be, to see, and to walk. Infinitive phrase is an infinitive and the words that accompany it. Examples would be to be a friend, to see in the dark, to walk in the street. Key ideas. Remember that every use of to does not necessarily indicate an infinitive. However, all infinitives have to immediately in front of them. Either to is going to be followed by a verb making an infinitive, or it's followed by a noun, pronoun, or some adjectives before getting to a noun or pronoun, in which case it would be a prepositional phrase. How do we find these? Well, let's start with what we can do easiest. Find all uses of the word to. Remember, if to is followed by a verb, it's an infinitive. If to is followed immediately or eventually by a noun or pronoun, then it's a prepositional phrase. Also bear in mind, to, should never be the last word in a sentence. If the infinitive phrase can be replaced by it, then it, that infinitive phrase, is acting as a noun. If the infinitive phrase is describing a noun or pronoun, then it's an adjective. If you're stuck, you can also decide whether the infinitive phrase is describing a who or describing a what, in which case it would also be an adjective. Finally, if we're using 3-item multiple choice as our way of reasoning out our answers, if it's not a noun, then we cross it out. If it's not an adjective, we cross that out too. Whatever's left must be our answer, in which case it's going to be an adverb. An adverb again is going to describe a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. In this case, it's easiest to describe an adverb if it's describing where, when, why, or how. An example. I want to see if I can walk to the mall. The main verbs are want and can walk. Who wants and can walk? I. What phrases begin with to? To see and to the mall. To see, however, is an infinitive because a verb follows to, whereas to the mall is a prepositional phrase because mall is a noun coming after the word to. Because I want it can be used in place of the infinitive phrase. It is a noun. So we want to say to see what? To see if I can walk to the mall. That whole rest of the sentence is actually part of that infinitive phrase. We can look at other things in terms of grammar, but for right now, all we have to decide is what kind of infinitive phrase is it. In this case, it works, therefore it is a noun. Some more examples. Find the infinitives in the following sentences. I wanted to walk to my house, but the snow was too deep. Two uses of the word to walk and to my house. To walk's the infinitive. To my house, prepositional phrase. If you're unsure, to that's an adverb. It's like very. So that's not going to count for what we're doing here. You say, well, what kind is it? If it's to walk where? To walk to my house. I wanted it. Okay, we'll have to call it a noun clause then. To rent a movie, you need to have a membership. We have to rent and to have. Both of those are verbs, therefore they're both infinitive phrases. To rent a movie. It, comma, you need to have a membership. That doesn't work. So looking at it saying, is it describing you? Is it describing needs? Is it describing membership? Let me ask you this. To rent a movie. Is that answering who or what question? Or is it answering a where, when, why, or how question? I would go with either rent a movie as being a how question or a why question. In which case we'd call it an adverb. To have. To have what? To have a membership. That's the infinitive phrase. You need it. Noun clause. Done. Too many of our friends asked me to help to complete my homework. Too many of my friends. T-O-O. That's very. so we're going to ignore that one. To help. That's an infinitive. To help what? To help me. Okay, so we have to help me. Too many of my friends asked it. Probably going to go noun again this time. To complete my homework. To complete is the infinitive, the phrase to complete my homework. Too many of my friends asked to help me it. That's not going to work. So the question is it describing me? No. Is it describing maybe asked? Okay. To complete my homework, is that a how or a why question? Probably. If so, then we'll consider that an adverb. When you do the practice, make sure you not only identify the infinitive or infinitive phrases, but also practice identifying whether that infinitive phrase is a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. If nothing else, it's a good opportunity to review how well you understand and can identify nouns, adjectives, and adverbs in sentences. Good hunting!